What's up guys, Brian here representing New Overlay Network, bringing you guys my Skull Servant deck. It's a very budget deck, the main deck for probably under $20. Everything's a common. You can choose to get certain things in high rarity like White Mare. He got a reprint finally, thank God, because he was needing a reprint. And yeah, let's get on into it. This is a OTK deck, one hand trap and pretty much dead. That's the thing with Skull Servants, but yeah, they're a great fun casual deck. Has awesome OTK potential and very budget. So yeah, without further ado guys, let's get on into it. We're gonna start off with the vanilla, the probably the most love-hate relationship card in this deck, Mr. Skull Servant, the brick of the deck. But he's the vanilla who is a skeleton ghost that isn't strong but can be in trouble in large numbers. So yeah, we run 3 of him because we want to maximize the Skull Servants that we have in this deck. So yeah, we definitely want to get him in the graveyard as soon as possible. Following that, we got 3 White Princes. Honestly, with White Prince, I'm loving this guy because he's not a once per turn, which is just crazy to me. I don't know why they decided to make him like this, but he is. So let's get into his effect. So his effect is, when he is sent to the graveyard, you can send 1 Skull Servant and 1 Lady in White from your hand / or deck to the graveyard or deck. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And then his other effect is you can banish 2 Skull Servants. And the thing with the whites and with the whites and King of Skull Servants, they all become Skull Servant when in the graveyard. So that's one thing they all share, so keep that in mind. So you can banish 2 Skull Servants and this card from your graveyard, especially summon 1 King of Skull Servants from your deck. This card's name becomes Skull Servant while in the graveyard. So they're all going to share that because that's the whole thing that archetype is built around, just being in the graveyard and getting the King of Skull Servants really big. So you can get a big just beat stick out on the field that is gonna be hard to beat over, to say the least, but there are ways to out it nonetheless. But yeah, we run 3 of him because he is not a once per turn. So if you can send him multiple times with a Vendread Saver, with Foolish Burial, whatever it may be, he can be very abusable. After that, we're running 3 White Mare. One of the whites that needed a reprint because he was getting very expensive for a common, and I don't think people wanted to pay that much for a common, which kind of stopped this deck from being budget. But now that he's reprinted, people have easier access to him now, and then definitely they can use his great effects because he does help the deck in terms of synergy. So let's read off his effect. His effect is, this card's name becomes Skull Servant while in the graveyard. You can discard this card, then activate one of the following effects. Target one of your banished Skull Servant or White Mares, return it to the graveyard. Target one of your banished Lady in White or King of Skull Servant, special summon. So I really like to go for the mostly returning either the Lady in White or the King of Skull Servants. And his effect is, this card's original attack is the combined number of King of Skull Servants and Skull Servants in your graveyard times 1,000. And when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can banish 1 other King of Skull Servants or Skull Servant from your graveyard, special summon this card. So he's going to be coming back unless they call by the graveyard or DD Crow him. So yeah, if they do get rid of him, so there is that. So he is just a constant threat that keeps coming back and helping you just have presence on board. So yeah, that's it for the level 1 Skull Servant, guys. Let's get into the level 3 Skull Servants, because there's only 3 of them. Next, 3 of them. There's only 2 types of them, excuse me. So 3 White Princess. For some reason she's light, but nevertheless she is helpful if you want to run like a little bit of a chaos package in here, like the Black Luster Chaos Emperor Dragon, but I chose not to because I just wanted to keep it more Skull Servant oriented. So we run 3 of her, and her effect is, again, it becomes Skull Servant while in the graveyard. And when she's normal special summon, you can send a White Prince from your deck to the graveyard. And then during either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand or field to your graveyard. All monsters on the field lose attack and defense equal to their own level / rank times 300. So it can be helpful in making certain monsters weaker than they go down in attack points, being weaker than they need to be for you to get over them. And that effect is slept on, in my opinion. And then again, not a hard once per turn, so if you're able to normal or special summon her more than once, you're able to send your White Prince multiple times, which is very helpful in my opinion. So that's it for White Princess. Now we're going to get into Miss Lady in White. You run a total, I believe, of 18 Skull Servants in this deck because it's just necessary for you to really just get him big. You could cut down White Prince and White Mare to 2, White Mare and Lady in White to 2, but I just wanted to have him at 3 because I want to be able to see him. And 2200 defense is pretty big in my opinion, and it is helpful to just stay there. And then her effect is face up level 3 or lower zombie type monster in the field except Lady in White cannot be destroyed by battle and are unaffected by spell or trap effects. This card's name becomes Skull Servant in the graveyard. So if you haven't noticed that King of Skull Servant is a level 1, so pretty much she protects him from being destroyed by battle or card effects as long as she's face up. So very, very helpful, and definitely you want to see her at 3 in my opinion, just to protect your big Scully boy. Next off, we're going to go into Yun Zombie, just a great generic zombie support. You are locked into only zombies when that happens, so just be aware, because you don't want to have game and not be able to attack. So yeah, definitely a tuner, and we do make some synchro plays, so we do utilize his tuning ability. So 2 Unizombie, 2 Mizuki, just a great card, just a great card. Pretty much a free monster reborn. Just banish him from the graveyard to target 1 zombie on your graveyard, special summon it, letting you trigger some of your White Princess effect, and so on and so forth, or summon out your Skull Servant. So yeah, or your Lady White Princess. And then for the Oneos, we run 1 Gozuki, just great because lets you send whatever you need to the graveyard, from deck to graveyard, and then yeah, let's just special summon another zombie, aka another King of Skull Servants, from the graveyard back onto the field. And then next for the spicy Oneos, we run 1 Junk Synchron and then 1 TG Metal Skeleton. Obviously, we all know what Junk Synchron does. When he has normal or special summon, you can target 1 level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard. Special summon in defense position, but its effects are negated, and he has a level 3 tuner. And then Mr. TG Metal Skeleton, who is a nice little one of in the deck. He is a level 2 non-tuner zombie. If a monster on the field is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then his other effect is not important, but he's just here because he's a free body when a monster that you control is destroyed by battle card effect. Let's just bring him out, have a little wall right there, and then if he does survive, use him as link material for the next turn. And then more so than anything, we use him to go into Junk Warrior, because level 3, level 2 makes level 5 Junk Warrior. One of Yusei's boss monsters, and then just a great little one of in the extra deck, because if you guys haven't noticed, Junk Warrior's effect reads that when this card is synchro summoned, it gains attack equal to the total attack of all level 2 or lower monsters on the field. He just gains the attack of all level 2 or lower monsters. So if you guys put 2 and 2 together, you guys will realize that King of Skull Servants is a level 1. So if you have him with like at least 5,000, 6,000, whatever attack, and you're able to synchro summon your Junk Warrior, you're gonna have him at least at what? 7,300? 8,300. That is insane for a level 5 synchro. And then obviously we're all darks mostly for the most part, so we do run Super Poly in this deck. So yeah, that is why we run the TG Metal Skeleton and the Junk Synchron, because we are able to get Junk Warrior out, and it is awesome to see both Junk Warrior and King of Skull Servants just on the field wreaking havoc. So yeah, we do run those little spicy ones because I had to make this deck my own. I didn't want to copy a profile, so yeah, had to do that. Next, for the hand traps, we just run the Ash Blossom because it's the most diverse and most powerful. If I had the commons, I would make these commons, so this whole deck could be commons, but they're not. So yeah, we run 3 Ash because just mandatory, and that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. There are no traps in this deck, so yeah, there's that. Let's get into the Oneos. We run 1/1/4/1. It's a God card in this deck. Foolish Burial, God card. And then Monster Reborn, still a God card because you cannot have enough King of the Skull Servants on the field. Yeah, so those are and then lastly, for the last one that we run Instant Fusion because we do run 1000 Restrict, and then it's just a great level 1 that we can link off into for our relinquished anima. So that's it for the Oneos. Now let's get into the only 2 ofs, the Book of Life. Pretty much a Monster Reborn for zombies, and a DD Crow that lets you banish one of your opponent's monster and then special summon one of your zombie monsters. Really great card. Finally got my hands on it after neglecting this deck for so long. But yeah, we run 2 of those guys because it is nice to say the least. Then we run 3 Super Poly because our whole board is dark and we do not want to get Super Polyed ourselves. But on top of that, this is a great card because some people just play a bunch of dark monsters, and then if they're not careful, they're just gonna get their board super polyed. So yeah, and then the discard effect does help us trigger the effects for the white mirrors. And then lastly, for the last spell, to round up the 40 card deck, we run 3 call buys because we do not want to get Ash Blossom at all in this deck. It's pretty much the worst thing that can happen. So yeah, that's it for the 40 card deck, guys. Let's get into the 15 card extra deck. Alrighty guys, let's get into the extra deck. It's a 15 card extra deck. I decided to go with something different. Not any nightmares in here because I've been doing a lot, so I decided to switch it up. So 1 Link Spider, generic cyber support, 1 Link Karibo, 1 Almirage. It kind of feels like every deck that's normal Summon Reliant needs this, so we run 1 of it. 1 Anima, because we run 1000 Eye Restrict, and it's easy for us to abuse them pretty much in this deck because we run a lot of level 1s. Might bump it up to 2 next profile. And then 1 Vampire Sucker, great zombie support. 1 Avenged Saber, one of the coolest looking cards I've seen in this game today. He's pretty much a Foolish Burial during the damage step, and when you send that monster, that zombie monster, to the graveyard, your opponent's monster loses attack times 200 equal to its original level, so we run 1 of it. The Super Poly targets, we run 2 Dragos Tapelia because everything is dark, and I don't have my hands on the other guy, the 3 dark ones. 1 Starving Venom for generic Super Poly. 1000 Eye Restrict because we do run Instant Fusion and it's very easy to abuse him in here, and I don't know, he was a spellcaster, so there is that. 1 Red Wyvern, one of the synchros that's very interesting in my opinion because he is a dragon, generic level 6. His effect is during either player's turn, if a monster with the highest attack then this synchro summon card is on the field, you can destroy this you can destroy 1 face-up monster on the field that has the highest attack, your choice if tied. This effect can only be used once while this card is face-up on the field. So it's not a once per turn, it's only once while face-up on the field, but if you're able to get him out through Monster Reborn or anything like that, you are able to use it, and it's non-targeting, which is very helpful. So 1 Red Wyvern, generic level 6. Brionic, who got a reprint and Dual Devastator. Generic level 6, you can discard any number of cards to the graveyard, then target the same number of cards you discarded, target the same number of cards your opponent controls, and return them to the hand. So he has a once per turn, and it helps you trigger off some of your white mirror effects. 1 Coral Dragon, because great level 6 that lets you discard and trigger off some of your whites effects. And then 1 Ally of Justice Creator, because very helpful in certain situations online, and it's at the start of the damage step he destroys it, so not at the middle, not at the end, so very, very helpful. And then lastly, we run the Junk Warrior because we do run that one junk synchron, and obviously he's gonna get really big when he is synchro summoned and you have some Skull Servants out on the field. And that does it for the 15 card extra deck, guys. I love Skull Servants, very budget, one of the first decks I made getting back into this game. And yeah, this is Brian with Neo Overlay Network signing out.